Hey everybody, welcome to the Orange Road, and we're still in Dwarf Week. So, this morning I recorded an episode about great places to start with the Dwarven army, and then I got this reply. And the guy is completely right, Lucas, but the main issue why Scibor wasn't in the video about great easy models to start with is that Scibor is quite expensive. It's not the best place to start. Their models are quite highly detailed, and the video I made was a little bit more focused on the starting dwarf player and probably the starting fantasy Night Age player. Still, I want to talk about Scibor for one very simple reason, and that Scibor is probably my favorite model maker in the entire world. I'm a really massive fan of everything they got. I'm not even kidding. These guys make awesome models for pretty much every range you want, and they are truly magnificent. So I've made a list of some of my favorite models you can find. I've got a link to Scibor in the description below. Just follow that link and go for their dwarf army. It's in the sidebar, and you can find every model I'm talking about here. So first up are the Cannoneer Dwarfs, as Scibor calls it. And I really want to get these guys for my Forge Wardens. These guys with the heavy armor, they're just a perfect match. Forge Wardens already have that plate armor with the Fireborn as well and the ward save, and this armor fits that to the T. They are not cheap. They are like 42 euros. So again, you're paying 4 euros a model. But in this case, I think it's really worth it. And if you got some experience and your painting skills are high enough to use beautiful models like this, to be honest, one of the reasons I don't use Scibor as much as I want to is that I always get disappointed in my own painting technique. I'm a pretty laid-back painter. I live for tabletop quality, and models like this kinda need an additional bit of love. Still, I'll probably get these as well because they will just fit my army really well. Then we get to these guys, and they're the Ducal Guard. So again, awesome models, really characterful. They've got a nice combination of weapons, so you'll have to see what you actually want to make with them as a unit. I would probably use them either as rangers or just put them in the rest of my army because they are very varied models, so you can do a lot with them. Yeah, like I said, these guys are bloody awesome. Then we get to this one, and this is one of my favorite dwarf lords because he has a sword, which is quite rare for most dwarven characters from other companies. You don't see them with a massive two-handed sword like this one. I'll probably not get a dwarven lord with a great weapon on a table anytime soon. It's not the option I think of when I'm thinking about my characters. But the sword can also be used, in my opinion, as a one-hander. You just have to add a shield somewhere on the model. And this guy just looks bloody badass. Then you get this set, and it's called the Dwarf Blacksmith Set. And these are pretty much the best engineers you can get, I think. I also love Games Workshop's their engineer range, the old metallic ones. They're also really flavorful, but these guys, they're not wearing a lot of armor, which I really appreciate. It might not be completely WYSIWYG on the table because they do have armor, but yeah, I just love them. You could also use them as your war machine crew, but I think that's a bit of a waste. But if you're only bringing one war machine and you really want to spice up your army, you can pick these three guys up and add them to your war machine. Then we get to the Dwarf Steam Panderers. So if you want to play some Hold Guardians and you don't want to go the route of the Bear Riders, this is pretty much your perfect choice. I'm pretty sure when they wrote the Hold Guardians, this was one of the units they were thinking of. They might be a little bit too steampunky for some. They're really, really close on the edge for myself. Still, I really think these guys are cool. The only thing I would do is add some more magical rune lighting on them, so they become a little bit less technology and a little bit more dwarven rune magic. Then another one of my favorites. It's officially a Dwarf Lord set, but I don't really see them as lords. I just think they will make an awesome first rank of any unit in your army wearing great weapons. So you can either go for greybeards with great weapons, or Kingsguard, or whatever else. These guys look badass. And if you get it, you do get 6 character lords in one go. Not quite certain where you will get them, or where you will put them in your army, but hey, you'll have plenty of options. This is one of the sets I bought, or my wife bought, a couple of years ago, since she is the big dwarven collector in our house. The model, the second model on the left, so the woman with the hammer and the shield, is currently my own dwarf general. I really like the appeal of the model. It's really cool. Reminds me of my wife. She painted it for me as well to use. So yeah, really like this set. Mostly for sentimental reasons as well. But you can also get this one, and it's a completely female dwarven regiment. I am tempted to buy this one, so if I ever go for a unit where my lord is hanging around in, because I've got the female lords, I would probably pick this one. The problem is I'm currently having, I'm not quite certain yet which unit I will use, and the hand weapon shield combo on these ladies is pretty determining of where they can go. Especially since they're also wearing plate, so you kind of get shoehorned in one specific unit, but still a really cool unit on the table, and I just like them. Then we have the Dwarven Hunters, or as we in Night Age call them, the Seekers. These are pretty much my favorite Seekers models in the entire game. In any model line, I just love the big bellies. I like the way they just stand. They a little bit less aggressive, more confident is the way I would call it. And yeah, these guys are really, really cool. And the problem I'm having, I want to buy a couple of these guys, but I already have, at last count, about 120 Seekers. When we were still playing Warhammer Edition, I had a complete Slayer army, so I have tons and tons of Slayers laying around, all painted, and I just can't convince myself to spend the money on these guys. But still, it's still really tempting, because I really, really like these models. Then we go to my second to last favorite of the Scibor models, and they have a ton more cool stuff, but I'm just looking at the stuff I really like, and it's the Dwarf Iron Hammerers. So if you pick these guys and you combine them with the Dwarf Lord set, you have a really impressive unit. And I don't think I would go for the yellow color scheme myself if I would start a unit with this one, but they do look the part. They look really regal. They look, a lot of the dwarf sets I find of other companies are a bit more funny focused, or they're really aggressively focused. For example, the later Games Workshop versions of the dwarves, these guys just look regal, they look confident, and that's something I really appreciate in a dwarven unit. Then the last of my favorite picks, and it's the Dwarf Veteran unit, and I picked this one mainly because of the shields. These are shields you don't see anywhere with another model making company. They're big, they're not round, they have awesome armor, and I just love the general vibe of this unit. The banner with the dwarven stone head and beard is also really strikingful, really unusual. You usually see other races with the head on a dwarf standard. So yeah, I really like this one. So yeah, here were my picks from Scibor. So, as I said, if you really, really want to have a beautiful dwarven army, Scibor is probably your biggest, best bet. So everybody, thanks for listening. This was another episode for the Dwarven Week, and I'll see you all on the next show. Bye.